How was life growing up without a dad?
It was interesting.
What was interesting about it?
Everything. Not having a dad makes up like the whole of me. Everything stems from that. It shows in like most things. Personality, relationships, friendships.
So what's a personality trait of yours?
That I make jokes about everything. To do with my dad.
Coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So when you make the jokes, what's the feeling underneath that?
There is no feeling. I don't think I'm aware of it when I'm doing it. But it's only like when I reflect about it, it's like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it shows in a lot of other things as well in my life.
Okay. And then Alex, what do you think is like something key about you that you think spans from your dad not being around?
So I have never felt the whole, but I guess the bit that did stick with me was trust. I would never expect people to come through with what they promised. And I think that maybe that was because of my dad.
And do you think that's people-based or do you think that's men-based?
People. It's not specific. It could be
Okay.
anybody. I didn't have the whole there's no dad in the house thing because I have lived with my grandparents and my mom. I've lived with my stepdad since I was 6. My grandparents live 6 minutes from me and they live 1 minute from my mom. And my stepdad obviously lives with my mom and I grew up with him in their house, etc. So I can't say that my experience speaks on the wider fatherless society because I have been very blessed. But I would say that if there was anything that had stuck with me over a period of time, I would say it's that you could be like, it could be small, it'd be, oh, Alex, I'll see you next Friday. I'll be like, yeah, And I wouldn't actually expect to see you there on Friday.
Okay.
I won't even book it out of my calendar. I'll continue with my day. And then if you text me on Friday morning saying, see you later, then I'll take it seriously.
That's interesting.
Very. Yeah. So what about you, Laura? Is there any key things that you think is part of your personality now that leads from your dad not being there?
I would say there's 2 things really. I think the first thing is really the culture shifts. I think we was talking about earlier. It's the fact that not having my father in my life from when I was growing up, and with my mother and my mom's family all being white, I was never introduced to any sort of black culture realistically until I went to high school.
Okay.
And that kind of like transition of going from what was a very kind of like quite posh white primary school, where people were quite wealthy, lived in nice areas and stuff. Not that we were super poor, but it was just that I didn't have the same lifestyle that they had. And then going to high school where there was loads of people from loads of different backgrounds I had never experienced before. There were people who were probably richer than me. There was people who were probably poorer than me as well. And there was a world that I just didn't really know about. There was things that people talked about that I didn't know about. Things, what would be an example be like people's living situations and stuff. Like it was just like the family dynamics and what people grew up with. I didn't really realise that I had a privilege by being able to actually have that in that lifestyle there. And I think when I was also there at school, I think maybe probably just the interest that I had, like for instance, the music that I would listen to, it wasn't like what my parents were listening to, in the sense like a lot of people will grow up and they'll hear their parents listen to like reggae and stuff if that's in the house and stuff. I didn't have that obviously because I think my mom listened to diverse music, but I didn't ever go to families' houses and have those kind of events there. So when I was going to school, I was listening to like Now 57 and like just loads of pop music because that was literally, and even now I listen to a lot of like jazz or classical, but people would say to me, oh, you don't listen to like that kind of music or whatever, or you talk really white, and when I was in school they said I was the white girl in the mixed race girl's body because I was just so different. And I always felt a divide because I felt like I never really fit in with necessarily all of the white people completely at primary school, and in high school they didn't see me as a black person. So I kind of just didn't really have anywhere to go. And because I didn't have my dad there, I lost out on all of that. And that's just gone into a whole race direction. But that's because my dad didn't bring me up. So I didn't go over to even if my dad was in my life, but my parents weren't together, I didn't go over to my dad's house and experience that over there and then go over there. It was just all one lifestyle. So, that was a major shift, which has kind of changed really the whole lifestyle that I have now.
Okay. So then, Shan, what was the culture like in your house in terms of...
There was no culture.
So in terms of your black side, you didn't get to experience any of that culture, or that wasn't brought in from maybe your mum trying to bring it in. How was that?
No. So the issue, not issue, but with me, what I found is that side of my family, there was no culture. So like, I didn't really have an awareness of, I grew up thinking I was white basically. And it wasn't until I was about 18 and I started dating outside of white people that I was like, oh shit, I might be like, I'm mixed race basically. My mom is very much in love with the black culture.
Okay.
Fetish.
So your mum's in love with the black culture, but
Yeah.
you didn't have the black culture in your house?
Yeah. Unless she was like, it was a partner.
Okay, so outside of the black man,
Yeah.
there was no black
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah. In the nicest way possible for me to say it.
So let's say even like a food basis, was there any black food experiences?
No.
Black music?
No. Not in my childhood.
Not in your childhood?
No.
So it was just black men.
Yeah. I don't want to say it like that because, you know, it's my mom, but yeah.
Okay.
So let me rephrase it. My sister's dad, my little sister, obviously my mom moved on from my own father. But yeah, outside of that there was like nothing.
So what was it like having your sister's dad in the house but your dad not being around?
It was a bit difficult. I have like a lot of resentment towards him.
What was some of the difficult parts?
Because obviously I was so young as well. Obviously my sister was born when I was 10. So
Yeah.
I can't remember how long they were together before they had a baby. But he became stepdad. So obviously like as a child you grow attached to a person.
Yeah.
And he ended up leaving. So it was like that trauma all over again.
Okay.
But this time I was like 10 times more angry at him because it was like, not only are you doing it to me, but you're doing it to my sister after you've seen everything I've been through.
Okay. And is he still gone or has he come back?
Oh, he's around. He sees my sister.
Yeah.
But I've not spoken to him since. Like, I won't talk to him.
So when he was in the house, did he treat you like a daughter as well, or was there a difference?
I remember having a good relationship with him, but I know I went through my own struggles when my sister was born, because obviously I don't know how other people feel about it, but because I'd been through so much like traumatic experiences earlier in my childhood,
Yeah.
I was a lot more attached to my mum.
Okay.
Obviously, because I needed that extra like bit of love and whatever. So when my sister was born, I was like, I'm not loved anymore. Like, it really was a bit traumatizing for me, but I didn't express that. But I was like, I think I was probably like 10, 11, so I was like started staying at my like friend's house, all that type of stuff. I would be there week in, week out, like at my friends. I felt a bit excluded from that little new family that was made.
Was it a thing where you asked to go to your friends?
Yeah,
or
like
you
I would just
you
stay
would
there
ask to
weeks
do it?
on end, like every weekend. I'd go to school in the weekends. I'm staying at my friend's house. But that went on for like a good few years, because by the time I was like 13, I was like getting drunk on fields.
And you still hadn't really connected with the family dynamic that included your sister?
Obviously, I was involved in it,
Yeah.
but I feel like I kept it very quiet that I felt away. I think there was a bit of jealousy there. Like, it was just because I knew I was supposed to have like my dad around and he wasn't there. It was like I had that resentment.
So was your dad ever around?
Yeah. I lived with them up until I was about 5.
Okay. And what was the relationship like before he left?
It's really difficult because I've had that many bad memories during like those 5 years of my life.
Yeah.
I say this to my mum all the time and she'll be like, oh, do you remember this? Like, she'll tell me like these good memories. Or like recently I've reconnected with like some of my dad's family and they'll tell me like, oh, do you remember when we did this? You had so much fun. Like, my auntie called me the other day and she was like, oh, Shan, like, we went to the seaside and you literally got off the coach and you ran straight to the sea. And just before you got there, like, your uncle came and grabbed you and you were so happy that day. I have no memories from my childhood that were good. Like, it's so focused on all the bad things. I only remember bad things. Like, it's insane. But, like, there's a few things from me being with my dad that I remember slightly.
Yeah.
And it's really strange because the memories that I remember with him are things that I sort of have in my life now. So, for example, I have a memory of my dad like playing on DJ decks.
Okay, yeah.
And obviously in my life now,
Revolves around that kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just obsessed with like going to raves. Obviously, Doug is in my life. Like, he's a DJ. Father of my child's a DJ. It's like, oh, I'm starting to think, oh, I have issues.
So what about you then, Alex, in terms of, was there any key part of your life where your dad was there and then not being there, or was it like he always wasn't around?
The short answer is no. My dad was never really around. I think we reached peak when I was probably about, I want to say 6.
Okay.
And where I saw him 3-4 times a year. That's
And that
the
was
most
peak?
I've ever seen my dad. Yeah, I've never spent a birthday with him. Never a Christmas, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe when I was 1, before my parents broke up. But I can't. Birthdays, Christmases, his birthday, etc. I don't have any. I was never with my dad for any of those. New Year's, nothing. I've never ever seen my dad on Christmas Day or anything like that. But as I said, because I had male figures around,
Yeah.
I didn't go, oh, I wish my dad was here. I can't say I've ever had that thought or that feeling.
Okay.
Because my stepdad would buy me whatever a dad would buy. My granddad would buy me whatever a dad would buy. My stepdad's doing all the man things, cutting the ham and messing with the toys and whatever. And my granddad's doing a similar thing and rough and tumbling with us, all the normal things. So I'd say my experience was definitely different. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've had one Valentine's Day with him by accident because it was just the weekend he was free. I think I would have been about 12. And yeah, that's it. I saw him a week after my 18th birthday, and I think that was the penultimate time that I saw him last.
So throughout the years, how have you felt towards your dad?
I think up until I was probably 14, I never felt angry never, should I say, lashing out angry.
Okay.
I felt saddened. So probably until I was 12, 13, I would cry all the time. All the time. Like, I would be going to bed and just start crying.
Up until you were 12,
Probably
13?
about 12 or 13, yeah. And then I
Okay.
think for a short period of time, then it turned to why. Everything was why. Why wouldn't you want to be in my life? Why? I had that portion of it. And then when I got to about 16, I stopped caring. I released, I guess. I don't feel any way. I still have a bit of why, but I can't be like, oh, I'm so mad. Like, I don't have any of that. I can sit in a room with him and be civil. The why now is I don't actually need any answers to it. I'm completely at peace. If he was to die tomorrow and I never got any answers, I would totally be okay. Because I know in reality with the personality that my dad is, I'm probably not going to get any answers anyway. And if I do, they'll be warped.
Okay.
So why ask why when you know you're asking a liar or somebody that will alter it?
Yeah.
I'm never going to get what I want out of it. I'll never get
Yeah.
the honesty out of it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever even be given the opportunity to be honest. I'd be shocked if he ever sat in a room with me one-to-one ever again in my life. So I would say that the why has disappeared because I'm an intelligent human being. I know I won't get the answers to why.
So let's say, God forbid, your dad was to pass away.
I was literally just thinking to ask
Go ahead, yeah.
like
Got you.
about this because you made an interesting point that if he was to pass, you'd be at peace, that you didn't
Yeah.
have the answers. And I've always said to myself, like growing up, like if my dad was to pass away, would I care? And people always found me crazy to say no, I wouldn't be affected at all. Probably wouldn't even go to his funeral. Like
People
not
look at me that
asked.
way too.
So I was going to ask, like, do you feel that same way? Like, how do you feel towards him?
Similarly, I think with the way I was raised, my family on my mum's side, who were the ones I was raised with, are really big on respect. So even if you hate somebody, you don't have to be, aggressive about it. You don't have to swear at them, blah, blah, blah. Carry yourself with grace at all times. So I could go into a room and make a hoo-ha at his funeral and, okay, great. But that reflects more on me because in reality, nobody will ever know the lead up to that. So, for example, up until a few years ago, because we're first cousins and we didn't know each other at all. And I literally on the walk up here, I said, there was some uncle dying of cancer, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, that's my dad. That is right. So there we go. So that's my connection to my dad's side. Anyway, back to what it was like. If it was his funeral, what can I say that it will ruin my life? No. Because I believe in order to ruin somebody's life, you have to have a presence in it in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, if you have never had something, when it's taken away, arguably you won't feel the absence as much because the whole doesn't really exist. But saying that would bring a definite halt to my whys, because now I definitely won't be able to answer any questions. But like you, would I care in the normal sense? Would I start crying and would I be emotional? Obviously, I'll never know until the day comes. However, I can say today that if he was to die in an hour's time and I got the phone call, I'd be like, all right, cool. And, okay.